Batman, LB, Rupert, Albert, and the Bishop Paul Brown. Batman for the 2020-2021. And you know what it is. You know Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego too. This is Paul and Rupert.
We're back!
Coming out with a brand new thought, covered under the blood in which we were born. So we know how to get to.
Is for bold, A is for active, D is for determined. When you consider King David valiantly, you have an idea and understanding where we're taking this. Stay tuned, y'all.
Hallelujah, revive us again.
We are excited to bring fresh commentary, good conversation with two bad men. Boy, you don't want to miss this. Bad Man for Christ. Join us.
Stands for determined, just like Peter when he did his first sermon. As the saying goes, bad men for Christ. That is how we'll be for the rest of our life. Sit back, relax, and enjoy our show because we're stuck in the house with nowhere to go.
Welcome to another edition of the Bad Man. Overseer Rupert Johnson and myself welcome you. We thank you for allowing us to come into your cars, your homes, and into your residence with another wonderful expected show that we're going to have lined up for you on tonight. Overseer, how are you doing, sir?
Man, I am blessed and highly favored. Oh my God, I'm just doing so well. We're just so grateful for everybody who's coming on the show and watching us and taking part in our show. We're reminding everybody, please, we're trying to expand. We want to be nationally, internationally recognized. So follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, tell all your friends, your family, tell your neighbor's dog, tell the guys down the streets, to watch the Bad Man Show. It is getting greater and greater. Bishop is getting better and better each week.
I agree with you. I can't agree with you more. And I cannot agree with you more. And thank you all to our wonderful audience and those who are joining us. And we're just so thankful and so grateful for you taking the time to be with us. Overseer, what is it that we have? What's happening?
Well, we want to take this moment. We're going to take a moment of silence because last week was a tough week. So many deaths by gunfire, accidental, if they want to call it, purposed, whatever it may be. But somebody lost their life that didn't have to. A lot of people did last week. I know at least 8 or 9. And I heard there was a shooting on Sunday, I believe also. So let's take a moment of silence. Everybody, we're people of God. You know, we call ourselves bad men for Christ. So it's not about who they serve or what religion they are. It's about lives were lost. I mean, souls were lost. And if they didn't know Christ, it's a shame. So let's just bow our heads for a second. 30 seconds, moments of silence, just to give respect to those families that went through what they're going through right now.
Thank you, sir.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.
Thank you, Overseer. And again, we express our condolences to families that are hurting. And of course, we don't want to forget that there are over 500,000 Americans that have passed away as a result of the coronavirus. And so, we have to, want to keep so many hurting families, want to keep them in prayer.
Amen.
All right, Overseer. So let's get started there. So what's going on with you and the stimulus check? Because I know that spend that money already. Let us hear what happened.
Well, I'll tell you, I should know better. I should know better. But I spent that money was spent before it even came into the bank account. I think that money was spent a long time, but I think that's the problem. I think a lot of us had that issue. You know, I'm full-time pastoring. I got a business. Both of those have gone down in this year so far as you know, income wise because of COVID. So what I needed to, you know, spend some money. But the truth of the matter is that money came in and there's other things that we could have done, right? What
I
did you do with
agree.
yours?
I
What did you do
agree.
with yours?
And one of the key thing is a Robinhood account, and some investing. And so for our audience tonight, we have a tremendous, wonderful expert that we're going to bring in, and
We are
she's
so
going to
glad to have
provide us some guidelines, provide you with some guidelines, some instructions, and hopefully we'll be able to turn things around and make the future a much more brighter.
and she's a multi-level person. She doesn't just do one thing. Do you see her website? She's got like 14 different titles.
Oh,
There she is, the
yes,
legacy
the
lady.
legacy
Here she
lady.
is.
Ah,
The legacy
let us
lady.
welcome Lady
14
Rowe.
titles she got. I saw what I said, wait a minute. She does I got counselor, a therapist, a financial planner, tax planning. Woo, we got a big baller right here, right now.
Yes,
We got a big baller.
yeah. So, Lady Rowe, what we'd like to do is to ask you to just give us a quick snapshot of yourself, and you know, just share with our audience, who you are and what, and just give us some ideas so that we get to know you a little bit better.
Yes, please.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to personally thank you for extending the invitation to me to come on the Bad Man Show. I am so excited. All right. You guys need to do like a spinoff called the Bad Girls or the Bad Women Show, right? I think, I think
is your prophetess? Is your prophetess? Is she speaking into the atmosphere?
Look at that. But I do. I honestly, I counted, you know, we say in church, we count it all joy when people extend invitations to us to speak or to share the platform that they have created to reach out to audiences. And so I personally want to tell you, thank you for, you know, taking the time to reach out to me to come on your platform. So thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. So I know you asked to give your audience a little bit about who I am. So for those of you who are new to my face, my name is Keishan Rowe. I'm an accountant by profession as well as a certified financial educator. And as mentioned, I love taking the opportunity to speak on different kinds of platforms to give people the idea or expose them to the notion that they could be good stewards of the money that God has entrusted them with. Because if we are honest, the church focuses a lot on the 10%. Hello, somebody. But we don't focus on that 90%, right? So people are good with paying their tithes, but they're not good stewards of the 90% that they have. So my responsibility is to not only encourage people to tithe, but to teach them how to create generational wealth. That's why I coined myself as the legacy lady, because I speak heavily on building generational wealth so that the money that we have now is not just here just for us, but as the Bible says, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children.
All right. Preach.
Right? Where's the offering plate? We need the offering plate right now.
We will pass it around at the end. So tell me, based on your name, you call yourself the legacy lady. Can you share with us you kind of shared with us how you came into that title, but share with us the importance of that title and why that title is important to you.
So the title is so important, again, because it gives, when you speak, when there's a name associated with you, you live out that name, right? So for me, being called the legacy lady, I make sure that I live it in my everyday life, especially with passing it down to, I have a son. So making sure that he is in the loop when it comes to knowing what it is about having wealth, right? And then taking that and putting that information out to the masses, right? So making sure that my clients, I'm an accountant, as I mentioned, that I not only make sure that their taxes are correct, but also making sure that they understand the importance of building that kind of wealth, right? So the reality of it is, while we live here on the earth, we have to make sure that we're doing the best that we can. We know that we have riches laid up for us, when we transcend. But while we live here on earth, hello, somebody, we have to make sure that we survive. And so a lot of people are dependent on things like the stimulus check and, unemployment and having their regular jobs. But the reality of it is that what the pandemic revealed is that no one is safe, right? So you can have a job today, and just like that, your employer can say, you know what, your service are no longer needed. So because of that, it's very important that people realize that they need to store their money, just like squirrels. Make sure they keep their money stored up for a rainy day by way of creating these emergency accounts so that they're not placed in difficult situations when they do arise. Because the reality of it is emergencies do not make appointments. They're just going to pop up. And so because of that, we want to make sure that we are equipped to handle whatever comes our way.
That's excellent. Wonderful. Wonderful. No, we're talking about money. We're talking about money. And I'm just curious about at what age could you recall that you got the sense that you have an understanding about money? Because I know that they don't teach money in high school.
No,
they don't teach money in college. They don't teach money in the seminary. So most people just think that they can just handle money. But can you recall when you got that sense that you have an understanding about money, and why should people really have their financial business in order?
So I would say my first cognizant, when I was first aware of money, I would say when I was probably in high school. So my father is of Caribbean descent. He's from Jamaica, right? So I remember.
Whoa!
Here we go. I knew that was gonna get some points with you guys, so I decided to save that.
Good job.
So being of Caribbean background, I was able to see firsthand, the importance of making sure that you save for a rainy day, right? So my father came here from Jamaica. He came here, and I share this story all the time on my platform, with one blue suitcase. And when he came here with that one blue suitcase, he came here with the determination that he wasn't going to go back to Jamaica, that he was going to stay here in America. And in staying here in America, he realized that he had to work hard, make sure he put money aside, and build for a future, right? So he made sure that he instilled in us from a very young age, make sure that you put your money away in a savings account. So I can remember when I was in high school, my first job was at McDonald's, and him physically taking me to the bank, taking me over to the bank and depositing my first check in the bank. So that, I would say, that was my first real life tangible exposure to money and putting it up. And so from there, it's like that seed was planted, and look, years later, I'm still basking in what he planted.
That's a great story. I have the same type of story. 14 years old, my first check. I work now. I'm a lot older than you, so my first check was probably a lot less than your first check. My first check was $35.
Oh, wow.
And I remember my mom was like, okay, $3.50 in the Times envelope.
Yeah.
And I had to put some money away to you open up a bank account with $5. Like you can open that up that way. So yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I was the same place where you were. That's just great. But while you're at it, I can see the passion, because of whenever family teaches us something, it becomes a passion.
Yeah.
So why are you passionate though? Now you're passionate about doing it for yourself, but why are you now passionate for doing it for others? Why did you say, I don't only want to translate this in my life and my kids' life, but I want to help people that I may or may not know do the same thing. Why are you passionate about it?
I think the main reason is because I understand the importance that not everybody has had exposure to wealth, right? So I worked in corporate America for about 15 years, right? And so I worked for a lot of high net worth individuals, and I saw the amount of money that they had, right? The wealth that they have. A lot of it was generational. A lot of it I saw parents, having accounts for their kids. And I said to myself, they were able to do that because of the knowledge that they were exposed to. And what it does is it's putting their children at an advantage. And so for me, I realized that my father did an amazing job with teaching me the fundamentals about saving and putting money aside. But I realized that he wasn't well versed in investing. So because of that, I said, you know what? I want to make sure that my clients, the ones that I do speak to, either they're paying or it's by way of free services, I want to make sure that I'm telling them the importance of putting money aside and building generational wealth. Because being people of faith, we know that the Bible says faith without works is dead. But we need to understand that it's also in the doing, right? We have to do it. We have to put in the work, because at the end of the day, we don't want to, and I heard this quote the other day, we don't want to swim in a sea of knowledge and drown in ignorance, right?
Oh my goodness.
So we have all of this knowledge at our disposal, and we're drowning because either we're not executing it, we're not doing what we need to do. And so there's so much free information out there. But for me, I feel like it is so imperative, especially people in church. We have an advantage. We have God on our side and we have our knowledge. So why not tap into those resources, because we're at an advantage? But I just realized that for me, my passion and my desire is to make sure that everybody I get in contact with, or hears my voice, or see a post from me, realizes that they can build generational wealth. Again, I share, my father came to America with what? One blue suitcase. And from there, he was able to have a 6-figure business. He was able to purchase property. He was able to do so much. And guess what? His first job was at McDonald's as well.
Wow.
Well,
yeah.
I want to say to our audience, anyone have any questions, please get them up to please submit your question, and remember to like us and to subscribe to us on YouTube. Overseer, we have a question.
Yes, it is from our good friend Mark Brodus. He says, what do you think about the 10-10-80 mindset? Well, that should be the 80-10-10 mindset, but and for those who don't know what that is, that's 80%. You have to do your other stuff with your bills, your budget, 10% saving, 10% charitable giving, in which the church does tithes. So what do you think about that the whole entire mindset? Is that something that you prescribe to, or do you have a different mindset on how you do what you talk about?
So I think that is a great formula, but I think at the end of the day, what individuals need to realize is that they need to have an agenda that is custom made for them, right? So taking that, 80-10-10 rule is a good foundational part. But what you first need to do is really take a look at your budget to see specifically what it is that you can do, and create a percentage based on that. Because again, we have all of this knowledge out there, which is great. But the most keen thing is for you to take a step back, take a look at how much money you have coming in, how much money you have going out. And from there, you'll be able to determine what is the better percentage for you. Because the reality of it is, not all budgets, not all principles are created equal, right? So an 80-10-10 might work for me, but for someone else, it might not work.
So yeah. What about the individual? And I believe a lot of people fall in this category. A lot of folks haven't really they know about the 10-10-80, but they really haven't practiced it. And so they're at the place where they might be looking at retirement 20 years from now, and looking at the savings, and it's there's literally nothing there.
Yeah.
I was what shook me up, that shook me into savings was, I was sitting in a seminar in the 80s, and the instructor says more than 95% of Americans retire with less than $100,000 for retirement, and this was in the 80s. And so could you speak to somebody, because we need to help somebody that may be listening.
Yes.
They haven't been saving, and that stimulus check came and it went like everything else.
Mm-hmm.
How do they get started? You got
Yeah.
started with daddy bringing you to the bank with that first check, just like overseer. And so it was kind of ingrained with you. Now we may be talking to somebody who hasn't even started yet.
Yeah.
Speak to that person.
And so the reality of it is there are a ton of individuals, Americans out there who are, struggling, who don't have money put away for retirement. Statistics shows that 63% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, right? So the statistics out there are real, right? But the most important thing is for people to just get started, right? So might be someone who says, I'm too old to start putting money away, or I'm too young, or I don't have enough. The most important thing about is just to start. So someone who is, close to retirement, the amount of money that they can put away might be different as opposed to someone who is younger, because when you're young, you have more freedom, meaning you have more money that you can play around with. You can invest a little bit more aggressively in the stock market as opposed to someone who's a little bit more seasoned. So it's just realizing that there's no better time than now to get started. And so you can get started with, $50, $100, whatever it is that you can put towards retirement. That's what you need to start with. But the most important thing is making sure you have a budget to determine how much money you could put away.
Can I follow up? Oh, I'm gonna let you go over it, but can I follow up with this clarity experience investing during the quarantine edition that you have? I maybe overseer was gonna kind of flow into this. Is that something that we can recommend on tonight for somebody to call you if they are convicted by the show? Is this a good program that we can recommend from the Bad Man Show, where we can say, listen, we want you to call the Legacy Lady and we want you to ask about the clarity experience?
Yes, and they gotta say it the way you said it, clarity experience, right? They gotta say it just like that. And if they don't say it like that, then they can't ask about it. Okay.
Good deal. Fair enough. So we're gonna make sure we put up that information. So if Sean or Albert, if one of our producers can put that information up in the comment section so people can see your information, your contact, or your website at least, and your website and contact you. But I was gonna ask you about budgeting, because you spoke about budgets. So I was going to say, so your ideal of the first step, because the first step, most of us go to the bank. Well, maybe before you go to the bank, you're saying your first step should be sit down and look at your budget, right? So could you explain to people, maybe in a quick 30 seconds, how to put together a quick budget?
So sure. So one, if you don't have a budget, you can always go over to my website and you can download a budget that you can use. But pretty much a budget just gives every single dollar that you have a name, right? So we have our dollar bills, but we want to make sure that our dollar bills we're telling our dollars what to do as opposed to our dollars telling us what to do. So with a budget, it gives you an opportunity to know specifically how much money you have coming in each month, which we already know. Everybody knows how much money they have coming in, but everybody isn't clear on how much money is going out the door, right? Yeah. So based on that budget, it'll provide a framework as to how much money you can aggressively save, put towards a retirement, and also pay down debt. So that's why I always stress the importance of, before you even start investing, before you even start, saving, it's very important for you to take a look at your budget.
Awesome. If we have, again, any questions that are out there, please write your questions or comments or statements in your comment section, and we'll make sure we talk and ask the Legacy Lady. This is from Brother Glenton Graham. Can you list investment options for newcomers or conservatives? Now, okay, so I'm going to help you out here, okay?
Okay.
She does give you any options. It is not guaranteed of future profits, okay? Don't come back to her later on saying, well, you told me. Okay, so I'm going to cover you right there. If she says anything, it's her thoughts is not a guarantee. Go ahead.
I love the disclaimer, right? So the Bad Man Show and Keishan Rowe are not liable for anything that is stated therein, right?
That's right.
So when it comes to investing, I would say the first rule of thumb always is to invest in things that you believe in, right? So for example, I always tell individuals, if you have a cell phone and you have an Apple iPhone, an Apple product, you should be buying Apple stocks, right? Because you invest in the product because you love the product so much, you should also invest in the stock as well. And so Apple products are very well, the products are expensive, but the stock isn't that expensive. It's about $100 and change, right? So it's very important that people understand the importance of buying stock, holding it for long term. And I'll share this story with you guys. I purchased Apple stock maybe about 7 years ago, maybe about 5 to 6 years ago. And I got it at a very inexpensive price.
Yeah, you did.
I have over very inexpensive price. And I have made over 5 figures on investing that money originally. And I only bought, at the time, I probably spent maybe about $2,000, $3,000 for the stock. And right now it's over 5 figures. And so I share the importance of buying stocks, holding it, and then letting it mature for the long term, right? So when I get into retirement or whenever I decide to sell that stock, I know I'll be able to have a sufficient amount of gain because I held it for so long. Another thing, Tesla stocks, right?
Right.
Everybody has heard of Tesla, right?
Yeah.
Elon Musk, right?
Yep.
A couple of back in 2020, that particular stock did something called a stock split. And so what a stock split is when a stock is valued at the current price, let's say it was valued at $700, and then they do something called a stock split, which means that for every 7 shares that you have, they'll give you 1. So they divided each one by 7. So if you had 1 share, they'll give you 7 for it. I'm reversing it, right? So in other words, that means that the amount of stocks you had doubled. Let me clarify that again, because that was kind of unclear. They did a 7-for-1 split, which means for every 1 share you have, they gave you 7 shares. So if you had 2 shares, they gave you 14 shares, right? What that means is it doubled in value. So in it doubling in value was amazing because it made the price that you had for that stock go up. So when you get ready to sell it, you're selling at a higher price as opposed to what you paid for it. I share that story with you is because a lot of people want to get in on stocks, but they don't watch the stock market. They don't watch what's going on in the news to know specifically when to get in and when to get out, right? So Tesla stock a couple of years ago was probably about $14. Now it's at almost $800 for 1 share. So imagine if you bought it back then for $14, how well off you would be. You'll be able to give some to me, to overseer, to bishop, to the church, So it's just understanding the importance of, buying, holding your stocks for long term. Some stocks that I would say, if you aren't savvy with investing, you may want to invest in something called ETFs. So ETFs are like, and I give the example for an ETF, are similar to, let's see how I can explain it. ETFs are like a basket of stocks all in one particular stock portfolio, right? So instead of you buying just one Nike stock, you can buy an ETF that has all of stocks related to Nike, Reeboks, Adidas, all of these different kind of cluster of stocks within that one portfolio. What that does is it minimizes the risk, right? So instead of you going out and buying just one Nike stock, you can buy a stock that has Nike and a whole bunch of other stocks. So in the event that that one stock doesn't do well, if Nike doesn't do well, Adidas did well, Reeboks did well, so you're okay. So for people who are just starting out, who are conservative, I would say go for, index funds, go towards ETFs because they're less risky.
Beautiful.
She's sitting off some big, hey, Bishop, she's sitting off some big names, ETFs now.
Oh, yeah.
What I would suggest, I don't know if you get me. So if they're trying to sell you on the opening, don't go on the opening of ETF. Buy established ETF where it's already established. Don't say, oh, it's opening. So
hey, overseer, our good buddy is popped in a question. You got to get this one in.
Wait a minute now. Okay, now, Legacy Lady, this is my good buddy over in Portland, Oregon, who happens to be my advisor. He says, can you talk about living within one's... See, he talks to me about this stuff. And so he wants you to reiterate to me how come I'm stupid. Okay, can you talk about living within one's means and not getting into personal debt?
Okay.
So when he talks to me, he encourages me on the other end because he doesn't tell me those kind of stuff that he tells Rupert.
Wow. So with living within your means, I think it's a lifestyle, right? So in order for one to constantly have that in the back of their mind, they have to be intentional about it, because you're not just going to wake up overnight and say, I want to live within my means and actually put that into practice. So again, you have to be intentional about it. And the way you become intentional about it is one by one, creating that budget, because that budget gives every single dollar that you have a name. And so from there, once that is established, then you can go on and create a lifestyle that is conducive for financial success. And so there's something that a lot of people don't like to talk about, and that's delayed gratification, right? Delayed gratification will put you in a place for you to live within your means. And so I share the story all the time. Again, I love to share stories because for me, people can relate to stories. So when I first started out in public accounting, working at one of the top 4 accounting firms in the country, I was driving around in the same car I had in high school. So I had, not even college, high school. So I had a Honda Accord, 1992 Honda Accord in high school. I had that 1992 Honda Accord at 4 years of college, and I had that Honda Accord my first 2 years of working in public accounting. And I probably would still have this car to today if it didn't die on me in 2007. So that forced me to get another car. But I understood the importance of delayed gratification. I understood that I wanted to not just look like $1 million, right? Being in church, we love to look good. Wear our big hats when convocation comes, wear our nice suits. We like to look good, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I understood the importance of not just looking good, but also making sure my bank account reflected the same style that my outer appearance had. So because a lot of times we want to look like $1 million, but we don't have that in our bank accounts. So delaying gratification is one key way for you to live within your means.
Beautiful. That's a good term. Delayed gratification. That's a great word. I think a lot of our millennials and Generation Y and Z, that is a great response. Delayed gratification. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. Have all this stuff. Saving is important.
So we have one more question from our good vice president.
All right, from Mark Brodus. I heard people say that you should pay off your debt before you start saving. What is your advice on that?
Woo, I love that. I love that question. So I'll let you guys answer that question. All right. So I want to pick your brain, right? So It's a great question, because the question is, should people pay off their debt before they start savings, right? So what do you think? What do you think the answer is?
What do you think, Bishop?
Okay, no, paying off debt is a strategy. Okay. And I'm not sure you want to ask the computer guy. because when it comes to paying off debt, it depends if it's credit card, bad debt, car note, bad debt, mortgage, good debt, good debt. So it's a strategy, and it also comes with the interest rate as well.
Okay, he's
If you
taking
have a
this deep.
debt and it's 29%, you need to get out. You're giving away money. You're giving away. So it's with me answering the question with how I have done debt payment over the years to the place where you have only good debt. It's a little bit more complex. So I'm not certain if I have time enough to go through the different iteration that I would go through.
I don't know what side. I don't know what side he's on. I think he's on that side.
Yeah, he's on that side.
He's here. He heard this, and he's repeating what he's heard.
I'm
like, yeah, he's heard
he's
this.
like it sounds good. I think this is the bad debt law. Yeah.
Which was a good answer. I agree with him 100%. I think that I would answer that it depends on what your strategy is. All right. So some people can save and pay debt at the same time.
Yes.
But if you pay off debt but you don't save, well, what happens on that rainy day when there's something going on that you need savings, right? So I think that you have to see what strategy you're trying to play, how you're going to play it. Some people pay off debt and just make it even worse because they pay off debt. Now you think they have money, so now they spend bad money, and so I think it depends. So I agree with Bishop. It's a strategy you have to look at.
You have to have a strategy. It's not the cut and dry.
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway from this, and both answers, Bishop's was very lengthy, but it was good, right? But the biggest takeaway is realizing that if you aggressively pay off your debt and you're not putting money away for a rainy day, the minute that you pay down that debt, an emergency can happen and then you're racking back up that debt again, right? So it's understanding that you can do both simultaneously. You might not be able to save as aggressively as you want or pay down your debt as aggressively as you like, but you can do the two simultaneously. And so with my clients, I always stress the importance to them. I create something called a debt payment elimination plan, where I take a look at their debt and we create a plan for their target goal for their savings. So it'll show them that they can put money aside each and every month so that they can reach their $10,000 goal, their $20,000 goal, or maybe their $5,000 goal, and also aggressively pay down their debt simultaneously. So again, the strategy is key, but it's also understanding that you could do both at the same time.
Amen. Now, I do have this question. Now, our time's almost running out. It's been a great show, great show. But I want to ask this question because I know you probably told people about that stock that when you bought what was it?
Apple.
Not Apple, the other one. Tesla. I'm sure you told people when you bought Tesla. And how many people listened to you and did the same thing you did?
A good amount, because
really?
You know
okay,
what it is. A good amount. Like I have my family members. My son has Tesla. Let's see who else. My father, my sisters, my nieces, my friends.
Wonderful.
I promote, like I have social media. So on Instagram, I talked heavy about it. I did an IG live on it where I talked about, the stock split, and letting people become very cognizant and aware of what is going on. Because the thing about it is there's free information out there, but what is causing the people to not live to their greatest potential is execution. Like we don't live in that realm of executing. We hear everything. We are so good with being good stewards of hearing, but we're not better stewards of executing. So
that's true.
That's true. Putting it in your face and just saying, you can do this. You do not have to be a millionaire to invest in the stock market, right? Like right now, Bitcoins are thousands of dollars. there's something going on right now where you can invest in, smaller bitcoins or what is it?
Door coins.
Or currency,
Yeah.
digital currency. You can do it and not have $60,000. You can, like you said, Dogecoin. You can invest in that, and it costs pennies on the dollar to do so. So it's just a matter of people just knowing the information out there, not being fearful to take those calculated risks, but also realizing that they have to have a budget first. Because I don't want you to go out there investing in the stock market and you don't have no money in the bank. You're playing yourself.
So one of the interesting thing is that you also need to seek out wealthy people. You need to seek out wealthy. Rich people think different than other people. I had the opportunity to listen to I had the opportunity to listen to a wealthy individual, and he says if you just imagine, you look at the lines when Apple comes up with a new product, all around up the street and around the corner and so forth, and folks are dashing to go and buy the product. And this wealthy individual say the first thing he did was got the screwdriver, pull it apart, and start looking what chips. Who produced the chips? What manufacturers that are producing that makes up the iPhone, the product itself, and then go invest in those. So you need to listen to rich and wealthy people. They think differently. The challenge is people don't recognize Overseer Rupert as a wealthy man. That is the problem.
Because I lost me.
You see. You see, we have one of the problems. I think it is we don't recognize the people amongst us who are wealthy and listen to what they say because they think differently. And if you just and if you listen to them and they execute just like you say, Lady Legacy, folks on this call should be listening to you. They should be getting your webpage. They should be typing it, reading your bio, and start hearing some of the things you're saying. Because it will benefit you in the long run.
It's the concept of, association breeds a simulation, right? So we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So if there's 4 people in your circle of friends who are broke, guess who the 5th person is?
You need to get out of that. You need to get rid of that. You need to get out of that company quick.
Yes.
So, because you don't want to be my friend anymore. I'm not gonna have any more friends. It's not a good thing. But we have, you know what? Our time's almost up. But I gotta say this because we had a good. Bishop, she said something about execution. Yes. Don't we know 2 people that talked to her and they told us they never executed?
Oh my goodness!
I'm not going to tell you who, Lady Rowe. I'm just going to say there's some people that we know that are associated with this show.
Yes,
that told us. Oh yeah, she told us some great stuff. I just execute. So that's a big thing, execution. So everybody, let's give a big round of applause to the Legacy Lady.
Yes.
If you can put up her website on our screen, Sean,
please put up her website. Yes.
Put up her website so you can go to her website. Please support her. She is one of us. She's been on the Bad Man Show, so please support her. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, let them know about the Legacy Lady, how she can help you develop a strategy to become wealthy. Amen. Our buddy Chris Russick. Yes, Chris, I'm going to promote you too. And if you want it and have somebody on the West Coast, you can go see my buddy Chris Russick in Portland, Oregon. He will help you out. But just support this wonderful lady. We thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for helping us out. We appreciate you. May God expand your territory and make you not just rich, but make you wealthy. God bless you.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes, and there is a difference between rich and wealthy. Rich is when you got the funds and you can do stuff. Wealthy is when you don't even have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
And you pass on legacy,
Yeah,
legacy.
That's it. That's our desire. And again, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the show, and to our guests, and to those who have been following us on Facebook and YouTube. We want to say thank you so much. We appreciate you allowing us to come into your homes. We appreciate you being here with us each Monday. And as Overseer said, please tell others about the show, The Bad Man Show. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Take care, everybody.
Everybody, thanks again.
Us again. To the A, to the D, to the M, so sing hallelujah, revive us again. To the A, to the D, to the M, so sing hallelujah, revive us again. To the A, to the D,